Hey, what's going on, Flix Talkers? Welcome back to another episode breakdown. This time, episode 3 of The Righteous Gemstones. This one's entitled, For He is a Liar and the Father of Lies. But before we do get into my recap and review for this episode, make sure if you guys want to support the channel, you are hitting that big thumbs up to like the video. And if you guys aren't already, make sure to hit that subscribe and bell notification down below to always get alerted about future videos like this. All right, guys, let's just get directly into episode 3 for The Righteous Gemstones, season 2. All right. So we lead off directly of the last episode, guys, episode 2, which was the season premiere. We got hit with those episode 1 and episode 2, which were extremely funny. We saw that the first episode was a little more extended to kind of pull you in. And then now we're getting 30-minute block episodes, which are easier for me personally to digest. I kind of write my notes along the way. And there's still a lot going on, though. You wouldn't believe it, but they still kind of insert a lot of things going on, a lot of dialogue, a lot of cool funny points along the way in this 30 some minute runtime of this episode. So that being said, we do get to see the Gemstones returning to the scene of the crime of Daniel Block's Airbnb, and it looks like they set the whole community ablaze, not just his home, the whole community. I mean, because I think they probably initially started, whoever set this up, started with Daniel Block's Airbnb, and the whole community looked like it was on fire. I mean, granted, it was surrounded by woodsy area, so, unfortunate for the neighbors and whatnot, but it looks like everything is set ablaze, and that's kind of our introduction to our episode. Next up, we get to see kind of the interaction with the siblings. I'm just going to call them the siblings because every time these, Jesse, Judy, and Kelvin are on scene, it's a mouthful sometimes. So I'll just say the Gemstone siblings. It seems like Judy and Kelvin, they're in like La La Land or something like that, as Jesse really thinks and believes in his heart that Eli, his father, Dr. Gemstone himself, committed these murders with Martin, for that matter. I mean, because we saw in episode 2, at the end of episode 2, that they do come back, promptly when all of this did happen, with blood on Eli's pants, and he has a lot of explaining to do. Jesse thinks he did it. Judy and Kelvin are definitely not thinking anything of it. They're not putting any of the pieces together. They would never think that their father would do something like this. So I thought it was cool to see that little scene of them arguing in typical Gemstone fashion. And next up, this is becoming probably the funniest bit, I guess, for the Righteous Gemstones, is Kelvin's God Squad. Holy crap. When we see them on screen, I mean, it's just crazy that these guys invest that much time into their muscles, but they're very, very proud of it, and they put it on display. It is Kelvin's God Squad doing an exhibition for mainly a lot of children, a lot of kids, almost like a DARE program, it seems like, just believe in God and he'll lead the way and just get you jacked, if you believe. And it's pretty cool. It's actually really, really funny. And I had talked about in my first episode 1 and 2 breakdown for season 2 that this is kind of a callback to a Workaholics episode. So you guys can check out that previous episode. I'll leave it down in the description if you guys want to hear my thoughts on that kind of tie-in right there. But I thought this was really, really funny as they try to pull off this stunt with Kelvin himself of building this human tower. And I guess Kelvin, steps on one of the guy's shoulder blades and it's just kind of in the wrong position or whatever. And it causes them all to kind of have a trickle-down domino effect where a lot of them do get injured. And we see that Titus does injure himself. I believe he messes up his ACL or something like that, something in his leg. He definitely jacks himself up, lands himself in the hospital, and he is suing the Gemstones because of this, but Kelvin doesn't want to hear it. He calls them lazy and Kelvin never wants to take responsibility for anything, but I thought that was an extremely funny scene as we get to see Kelvin's God Squad once again in action, and these guys are so serious about this, and they're breaking bricks, and they're ripping, phone books in half, and they're just doing their damn thing, and they're putting all their faith in the Lord and Kelvin, for that matter. I mean, he treats himself like a god, right? Then next up, we are shown a weird scene. I mean, these are getting more and more sus when it comes to Keith and Kelvin. I always felt it in the beginning that this was such a sus relationship that they have going on, and it gets even more sus in this scene that kind of plays out. But Kelvin confides in Keith and lets him know about the murders. I don't know if that's the best thing. I mean, too many people know about this murder with Daniel Block going on, so might as well just alert all of Twitter. so everybody knows at this point. But they do have a kind of a weird scene, and Keith lets it be known, I'll keep my secret safe. Next up, we have Jesse and Gideon going through their grandfather's old place. I believe it was him and maybe Amy Lee's place. He just says granddaddy's place. So they're going through this place, and they go through a huge chest, and they see all of Eli Gemstone's old past that we got introduced to in episode 1, where he is a wrestler. That's when they find out about Junior and Junior's father, Glendon, who Eli was working for and pretty much, was kicking ass for. I mean, if someone needed taken care of, Eli was handling it for Gideon, man. So that's cool that they showed, a little more flashback and kind of putting the pieces of the puzzle together. And it definitely has Jesse once again solidifying that Eli definitely put out this hit on Daniel. Now, next up, we have the Gemstone siblings back again, as Kelvin this time has taken the phone of Eli Gemstone. And we can get a lot of information from that night, the text messages of Daniel Block's murder. And, it seems like, these are concrete, not really too vague of text messages that they're reading over, and they're putting the pieces together, and they've all come to the realization that they need to question Daddy. And that's exactly what they do. So the sibling Gemstones do approach Eli, and, he's kind of embarrassed in this story, saying that, he is letting it be known, I had nothing to do with this murder, but I did text Junior, and I was actually hanging out with Junior that night, and that's kind of my alibi, letting it be known that they did hang out that night at a bowling alley, and Junior had a lot of ladies with them, and they definitely looked like they were DTF. These women, for sure, man. They were letting it be known that they were being very sexually provocative. Eli hasn't been with a woman in such a long time, so I think those feelings kind of set in. He does go home with one of these women, and as it looks like it's about to go down, Eli definitely has to check himself in the restroom and say, hey, you know what? I haven't been manscaping. I haven't been, properly taking care of business down there. It's been a long time. I got to dust off the cobwebs. And he pulls out a razor, which then leads to a hilarious, almost like something about Mary scene in the restroom. And he trims part of his ball sack, and we've all kind of been, I think we've all been there. Come on, let's just be honest. Let's throw it all on the table, man. We've all been there, and women for that matter. You're dealing with razors and you're dealing with electric shavers. It's going to happen. You're going to nick some skin and it's going to leave some blood. I don't think as much as what, was left on his khakis, but that was his explanation. He clipped his balls and, left a bloody crime scene on his pants. And, he was embarrassed telling that story, as, I would be, telling my kids that story. And it seems like the Gemstone siblings ain't even mad at the fact that they thought he was a murderer anymore. They're more mad at the fact that he actually was trying to hook up with someone other than their mama. And Jesse says, you cheating on mama? Like, Amy Lee's been dead for so long. Like, it's really funny, just the logic and thinking of, seeing the gears turning in these Gemstone siblings. They're not all there. They're not really, they're kind of slow to the rodeo, if you guys know what I'm talking about. Then next up, we get taken back to Calvin's God Squad ranch, or I don't know. It seems like a separate compound at this point where he keeps all these beefed up guys. He houses them. I don't understand. This money is endless. This is really endless money, but I think they all stay at this one compound, like 20 plus guys. It is crazy stuff. But, during like a prayer service or kind of, just a Bible study or whatever, it seems like Titus is definitely not feeling like he's part of this group anymore, as once again, I had mentioned earlier, he is currently suing the Gemstones. So I think he has definitely a different, way of looking at Kelvin at this point. He looks at him like, you know what? You don't have my back, man. I'm just gonna, go out of pocket and talk to you any which way I feel, fit. And Kelvin ain't having that. As you guys know, I feel like Kelvin since season 1, I'm sorry, he has definitely become more braggadocious, more independent, more just self-centered, more than ever. More than ever. Absolutely more than ever. And it's displayed in season 2 on a grandiose scale, as he's totally into himself and amped up even more with this Kelvin God Squad thing. And he feels like he's being tested and challenged as a leader, and he has to make Titus an example. And I thought that was extremely funny. Titus doesn't give a shit once again, but the challenge for Titus for challenging Kelvin is having to bear this cross literally on his back and walk, I think, 20 feet or something like that, 30 feet, with this huge cross that has to weigh 1,000 pounds. I couldn't believe it. It was a huge life-size cross, and we see that, he doesn't, he's not able to take that challenge on. He falls down, and it's weird because he goes, "Oh, my hamstring!" But then immediately he's able to do like one of these karate, like where they're on their back and they kind of flip upwards. Like, how does that happen? How can you land back on your ankle if you just pulled it? I didn't get. That was kind of weird, lazy writing possibly, but yeah, that ends up happening, and Kelvin solidifies his alpha male or whatever he wants to call it. He's totally not alpha at all compared to these other guys, but he wants to believe that he is. And this episode does end off with Junior hiding in Eli's car, where he does pop out and, he lets it be known, hey, Eli, I know you've been ducking and dodging my calls and my appearances. What the hell is up? Eli lets it be known, which he let it be known from the beginning. I don't want any, trouble with you. I don't want you to bring your drama from the past into my life. I'm a changed man. Junior's not trying to hear that. And they do have beef. So that's kind of where we end off here, which I knew was going to happen. I knew Junior's intentions were different than Eli's. He wasn't, he was coming back for a handout. That's what it was at the end of the day. So I like this episode through and through. Another fun installment in the Gemstones repertoire. So you guys let me know if you had a good time with this episode 3. Once again, leave it in the comments down below your favorite part, and where do we go from here? Is Junior gonna try to expose Eli? What was with Eli going on that roller coaster so many times? And are the police gonna get involved with the Gemstones? Do you think it's going to be taken a step further and they're going to be investigated? I personally do think you can't. I mean, they knew that Thaniel was investigating all of these, congregations and whatnot. And I think Eli was, next on the totem pole as far as being under the scrutiny, under the microscope of Thaniel Block. So I think they'll kind of put 2 and 2 together and they'll go after the Gemstones. But once again, you guys let me know in the comments below. And if you guys did appreciate this video and my breakdown, my weekly recap and review, I'll be back next Sunday, guys, for the next episode 4. Let me know by liking the video. It's the best way to support the channel, and it does spread these videos out to those that aren't subscribed. And if you yourself aren't subscribed, consider hitting that subscribe and bell notification down below to always get alerted about future videos like this. All right, guys, till next one, I'm gone. Peace.